If you are doing any of these things, then you are killing your confidence and you need to stop. Hey, it's Angela, and I'm gonna be telling you guys 3 ways that you are sabotaging and that you are killing your confidence. Very first thing, let's hop right into it. The first thing that kills your confidence is when you compare yourself to other people. Now, why on earth does that decimate your confidence? Well, that is a time when you start comparing. I'm sure everyone has heard of the saying, comparison is the thief of joy. When you compare yourself to other people, you start looking at what they have that you don't have. And so you're always looking at the things that you lack instead of counting your own blessings. And this is such the this is the very thing that is the opposite of gratitude, because gratitude means looking at the things you have and being so grateful and so thankful that you have them, knowing that not everybody else has, a Wi-Fi or electricity, or not everyone is eating their meals 3 times a day. When you start looking at, oh, where Chloe just traveled last month, or where Sasha literally just spent her vacation, you start to feel like you're missing out and that you don't have enough and that you're not good enough. You do yourself a disservice because you don't get to see the things that you achieved. You don't get to see the things that you are, and you don't get to appreciate the things that you have. And so you fail to feel grateful for the things that you actually have because, well, you don't have the latest pair of Yeezys. Now, there are only ever two scenarios where you are allowed to compare yourself, and that is A, when you're comparing yourself with someone who has less than you, maybe a kid in Africa, someone who's not living, you know, someone who doesn't have a home. When you compare yourself with someone who has a lot less than you in life, you actually start to feel so grateful that you're in a position where you can help them instead of being the person that needs giving. And when you keep doing that, you just feel like you are blessed, and you are. If you have electricity, if you have clean water, if you have food 3 times a day, if you have clothes on your back, you're fucking lucky. Stop taking that for granted and stop comparing yourself with the people you see on Instagram, because you're only seeing their highlight reels, and start comparing yourself to the people who literally don't even know what drinking water is like, because then you appreciate your position in life and you appreciate that you are at that spot where you can actually do something. And the second time where you're allowed to compare yourself is when you are trying to master your craft. The reason why it's okay to compare yourself with the best when you're trying to improve at something is because that gives you context and that gives you perspective on where you're at. It lets you know that, yeah, right now you still suck, and right now you may not be good enough yet, but this is the level to which you can aspire to, and that's the level that when you work hard, you can actually get there when you put in the work. Now, one thing you do need to be careful with is thinking, oh my god, he's so good and I'm not. And that's the very thing that you need to be careful with, because it could paralyze you. And you got to make sure that instead of it paralyzing you, that whoever you're comparing yourself to is actually inspiring you to be better, inspiring you to put in the work so that you could get to their level. And because now you know that you can improve, you actually put in the hours that you need to practice, to try and try and try until you get to a certain level that maybe 6 months from now you may not be as good as them, but hell, you're gonna be a lot better than where you were when you first started. That's the only way you literally get better. You need to have a benchmark of where you could be and know that you're not there yet, and that's okay. The second thing that kills your confidence, toxic people. These are the people that you need to avoid by all means. Now, if you have friends who literally the only thing they do when they're with you is criticize you, oh my god, Angela, it's a good thing you're wearing makeup because you're so Asian. You gotta get rid of those friends because they're not your friends. Now, this is not to be mistaken for the real friends that you do need who tell you what is up, and the friends who give you constructive criticism because they want you to be better and because they know that you could be better. So, obviously, you need friends who tell you that, hey, your boyfriend is a lying, cheating asshole and you need to break up with him for your own good. You need those kinds of friends. But friends who do not support you, friends who talk behind your back, friends who literally point out your flaws every single time they can, and friends you literally know on the inside who just use you to make themselves feel better, you need to fucking say goodbye to. And your confidence gets drained, and that's just not healthy for you. That's not healthy for your self esteem. And so you gotta say bye bye to those people. Now, I know that sometimes they could be in your family. Sometimes my mom's toxic, and she knows that. You gotta work on ignoring them. You know, you literally have to tune them out so that they don't impose their limiting beliefs on you, so that they don't impose their own feelings of insecurity towards you. You shouldn't ever allow yourself to be undermined or just ceaselessly criticized by someone just to make themselves feel good. Even if that's your family, even if that's your friend, you just treat them like a frog. You know, you don't immediately cut them off, but what you can do is you can literally just ignore them. You stop hanging out with them. If you hung out with them every single day, maybe like slowly get to a point where you hang out with them only once a week, and then when you hang out with them, never. Okay? So get rid of those toxic people and make sure that you replace them and surround them with people who build you up, people who, yeah, they may give you constructive criticism, but people who literally have your best interests at heart, and people who want to see you do better because they know you can do better, and not just people who criticize you because they feel shit about themselves and now they want you to feel shit about yourself. You know, misery does love company. And so when you have those kinds of people, treat them like a frog. Ignore them, say goodbye to them, and don't ever let yourself be contaminated by their toxicity. The last way that most people just make sure they live lives of just pure insecurity is when you tell yourself, I can't and I'm not. What you're doing when you're telling yourself those two things is you're putting yourself in a box, and you're telling yourself a story that, oh, I'm just shy and I'm just not a people person and I'm just not good at this, or I'm just not a good speaker. Like, really, how many fucking crappy speeches have you given? Because unless you've given so many, you don't have the right to undermine yourself. You know, I think it's Les Brown who said it best. I can be wrong on this, by the way. I think it's Les Brown who said, "You don't know enough about yourself for you to conclude anything about yourself. You don't know how powerful you are. You literally don't have all the information. You don't have all the data about yourself. So how the hell do you know that you are not a good speaker, that you are not a leader, unless you've failed so many times? And even when you fail, you can always learn. You can always get the skill set. You can always learn from the people who have done it and copy them, model them. You don't need to put yourself in a box. Now, you also really need to be careful with the words that you do tell yourself, because your words create the story that you keep telling yourself over and over, and that creates your life, basically. If you've been telling yourself for the past 10 years that, oh, I'm just not good enough to do this or that, well, guess what? You're never going to bother to try, because you've already put yourself in a limiting box. You need to be careful with your words, because your words become your story, and your story becomes your limiting self belief for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So allow yourself to keep trying, and don't ever be the one that holds yourself back. There's that quote that says, "What's behind me and what's in front of me are nothing compared to what's within me." And that's so true, because we're literally all so powerful, and we don't even know it. Most people don't even know. And you gotta remember, a lot of people will hold you back, and a lot of them will try to bring you down. But don't ever be one of those people. So, those are the 3 confidence killers that you need to stop right now. If you want to learn how to be confident, the secrets that confident people have, you can check that out in my video, in last week's video. And I hope this has been helpful to you. If there's one thing that I know I have that I really wish I could just give the world in one magic pill, it's confidence. But like I said in the last video, it's something that you build over time, and there's no magic pill. Even confident people have insecurities. So go watch last week's vid. It will really help you, I believe. And don't forget to subscribe and like and comment if anything here resonated with you. And I will see you on next week's video. Bye.